Joe is with us. Joe is in Milwaukee. Hi, Joe. Welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show.
Thank you for taking the call. I appreciate it. It's a first-time caller. I'm 45 years old, and since 2015, I've made it a priority to invest, and I've been doing self-investment. I've not received any guidance, and I think I'm doing everything right. And I'm trying to figure out whether I should now invest to get a professional financial advisor. So in 2015, I started with $200,000, and currently I have about $1.7 million with $900,000 in a brokerage account.
Well done, sir.
Thank you.
Well done. Well, the same question then applies. How much of this did you inherit?
Zero.
Okay. So you are not you're not an evil rich person who was a trust fund baby. You're just an evil rich person who saved all his money up.
Yeah. So I did $1,000 a month every single month since 2015,
You're
and that
amazing.
went into a Vanguard account.
I'm so proud of you. Okay, listen. There's no arguing that if you just keep doing what you keep doing, you're going to have a whole lot of money. Agreed?
Correct.
Yeah. So how old are you?
45.
And you told me that. I'm sorry. And there is, you said there's $2 million now, right?
No, 1.7.
1.7
is total.
Okay.
There's some.
So when you're
company private stock in
52,
there.
if that's sitting in a S&P 500, when you're 52, on average, that's going to be 3.2. When you're 59, on average, it's going to be about 7 million. That's if you don't add anything and you just left it sitting in an S&P 500. Okay? Because at 12%, it'll double every 7 years. At 10%, it'll double every 7 years. So S&P 500's average more than that. Now, then the only question is, what would you get with a financial advisor? Because it's not like you have to have it to win. It's a predetermined fact. If you just don't drive the car off the road, you're going to be okay, right?
Yeah, and I guess, the number grew so much, and when it was a smaller number, I paid the 1.5% for an ETF, and it's, due with that number growing.
The only reason I would pay the 1% for management is if it gained me more than 1% above what I could have done by myself.
So I feel comfortable with my plan, but it's relatively passive. It's I'm confident in the market. I don't need this money for the next 5 years.
So here's what I would do.
Could somebody who's more active, buying and selling?
Yeah, you don't need somebody churning your account, but they just may need to have their fingers on the pulse of it, being a touch more active. Here's what I would do. Get online at DaveRamsey.com. Click on SmartVestor. Yep. It'll drop down a list of the guys in your area, gals in your area we recommend. Go meet with 3 of them. Mm-hmm. Pick one and give them $500,000 to manage. And let's run a control test for 3 years against what you do. And then if they can make you more than they cost you for 3 years, then maybe you move some more over there.
So I have met with people in the past, and they kind of tell me to do what I'm doing. It's in those times of emergencies, is a financial advisor going to be proactive and say, hey, Joe, I want you to sell, or I want you to buy this, or do this IPO.
Listen, they might, but a SmartVestor Pro is going to tell you to hold.
Just hold.
If it's my guys, because that's what I'm going to do. When the market dove in March, you know what I did? Nothing. And you know what? Right now, I'm really glad.
Yeah.
Because it recovered in 57 days.
Yeah, no, that's and during that time I bought, and we had COVID relief, and I didn't pay my mortgage, but I bought $1,000 worth of mutual funds that month.
How much do you owe on your mortgage?
$235.
You need to pay that off today.
Yeah, so even at whatever 3.5%,
I don't care.
But I'm making more in the market.
No, you're not. You need to pay your mortgage off, dude. You have no idea what it's going to do inside your brain and inside your spirit when you don't have any debt. If it was such a good idea to borrow at 3.5%, you would have already borrowed $1 million at 3.5%. But that made you perceive risk. A little $200,000 didn't. So if I'm you, I'm cleaning up your mortgage. I'd sit down with somebody, interview them. What you're looking for is something with the heart of a teacher. The heart of a teacher. And I've got one of our SmartVestor Pros that is in my corner. And I can call him and talk to him if I want to, if I'm wondering about something, if I want to run a scenario out on something. He doesn't have to talk me off the ledge on when things are getting bad. But, Rachel, you and Winston meet with a SmartVestor Pro, and you're Rachel Cruz.
That's right. Well, these people, they do this stuff day in and day out. But again, Joe, I mean, because he has his stuff in like a Vanguard account? What did he say?
Yeah, he's got an SP 500.
Yep. So again, you're doing fine, Joe. If that's what you continue to do, fine. But I think running the controlled experiment, that would be interesting to say, hey, let's put this other, 300,000, whatever it is, in the market and watch it and see what a financial advisor does with it versus just a traditional Vanguard account.
I think what you're missing is some teaching, and you're missing some input at key times when you want some input. You don't have anybody to bounce this off of. It's a little bit lonely, a weird kind of lonely, but it's a little bit lonely the way you're doing it. And so I've got these people in my corner, and Chris Hogan will sit down in here at a commercial break, and we'll talk about something. Or Anthony talking to me about buying a house the other day. So we got people to bounce our ideas off of, and even though we know the answer too, but it just helps to have somebody to kind of work it and wrestle the problem with.
Well, and people like this that are in the investing world day in and day out, again, they eat, live, and breathe this. They're watching it constantly. They're going to have a good pulse on what's going on.
I mean, you can read health food magazines and articles all day long and really be healthy in your eating and really be in good shape, but a nutritionist could probably teach you something.
Right. That's great analogy.
It's that kind of thing. You probably could get a leg up. Get some information you didn't have, some motivation you didn't have. But it's not to say, Joe, that you're like a loser and the only way you're going to make it is with a SmartVestor. It's quite the opposite. You're going to do just fine. If you just keep doing what you're doing. I outlined it for you. You're going to do just fine. But I would get a SmartVestor Pro in my corner to teach you and make you think about things and give you somebody to kind of wrestle ideas with. But they don't need to be somebody that just takes over and just says, well, I'm smart and you're not, and I'm going to go to prove to you that I can beat what you're doing. Well, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about him or her explaining to you, we're going to do these things with your managed account, and if they meet projections and historical data, we should outperform your S&P 500, which you can do, by the way. Lots of people do it. My portfolio outperforms the S&P 500, and I still buy some Vanguard S&P 500. I still buy some, Vanguard and another one too. But I mean, S&P 500 is just kind of a safe, predictable place to park money. And it is what you said. It's a passive choice because you're not having to actively try to find something and move something that's beating it. But over half the funds do not beat the S&P 500. So you can't just buy funds blindly and beat it. But you can buy funds that have a track record of beating it, watch them, manage them, and beat it. My portfolio outperforms the S&P pretty considerably, about 1.5 overall year in and year out. And it's nothing really rocket science about it. I'm just picking funds that have a history of doing that and watching to make sure they do it.
Yeah, and I think, too, knowing that investing is for long term. So even Joe being 45, I think some people want like some fascinating stuff and it's interesting and it's intriguing and
Not him.
Usually the boring, but I'm just saying for the listener though, but usually the boring stuff over a long period of time
is much more profitable.
Yes, because it's predictable, you know what's happening. So
and that's him. He was that guy. His stuff is not sexy at all.
Yep.
And coming out of his own mouth, he said that. It's just steady. And it was what the other guy said, $1,000 a month for all this time. That's how I did that. And you freaking get out of debt, and he's not paying a freaking car payment, or 2 car payments. And Sally Mae's not got her own bedroom in his house. When you don't have any payments, you can get rich. That's these people we're talking to. This is real people here. We don't set these calls up. They're just calling in.